What's going on, everybody? It's Matt, aka the Lumberjack Landlord, here with my good buddies, the REI Avengers. I got my buddy Dion and my buddy Mike. And the thing that we're going to talk about today is evictions. I made an absolutely awesome mistake in evictions, but I'm going to share that one for last. Now, Dion is a superstar, and he's been doing this since Noah had a boat, but he has done no evictions. So Dion will be able to sit there and mock us from his white ivory tower. And we will sit and talk about the wonderful nuances that are eviction. And I think for everybody, this is an opportunity to share that fun experience of going through an eviction. And yeah, I get it. It's tough for the person that's going through the eviction too, but you know what? They earned it. So Mike, let's talk about your eviction that I think you currently have going on now, right? Or is it done?
Right. Yep. No, we got one right now.
Right now. There we go. Rental apocalypse.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, the number one mistake, in my opinion, that you can make when it comes to doing an eviction is not doing it soon enough.
Yes.
Even if you're just delaying it a couple of days.
Yes.
You need to go out there and get the notice posted. I know they're going to have excuses. They're going to say, oh, I'm bringing it in tomorrow. It's going to be the next day. And then it's, no text for 4 or 5 days. And then it's over the weekend. And then you finally get the notice posted and you're 7 to 8 to 10 days behind the 8 ball. And their answer is going to be the exact same as what it would have been on day one. You knew they didn't pay. Post it. And if they do pay, well, great. If you do come to some sort of solution, well, great. But they need to know that you're establishing boundaries. They need to know that you are professional. They need to know that you are consistent and you're serious. And you convey all of that by not letting things slide. You have to have firm boundaries.
Agreed. Dion?
So I have dealt with, in 12 years of investing as a landlord, several eviction situations. But I've never had an eviction because of 3 things. First, the thing my mom taught me, and then 2 things that I do with my tenants. The thing my mom taught me was, if you don't have something nice to say, speak clearly. So when I'm talking with tenants, I've had several situations that could have ended in an eviction, because what a tenant is doing is they're thinking, okay, I have some money problems and things aren't lining up right. If I stop paying internet, no Netflix, no Hulu, maybe not work if they work remotely. If I stop paying my cell phone, I can't communicate with people. If I stop paying for my car, they might take it away. So I'm going to go to my landlord. I chose a landlord who self-manages because maybe they have a heart and maybe they're not professional like a property management company is going to be.
Right.
So they'll go to the owner and say, hey, there's this thing imploding in my life and I need to pay the rent late, or I'm not going to pay the rent. So I have these conversations with tenants before that. So the tenants know, the first thing I tell them is, if you're ever late with rent, you are getting served eviction papers the day that it's late as a favor. And then I let that settle in for a second, because I go, wait, what do you mean a favor? And I go, because there's probably rental assistance programs out there that you don't qualify until you've been served. So I'm going to do that as soon as possible, to Mike's point. Don't delay. Right. So they know that's going to happen, and I am doing it to help them. So it's not like they can talk me out of that. And the second thing is, I then say, if you're going to pay it late, here's why I don't want to do that. Even if I served you and then you got it paid before the eviction went through, because it's setting you up for absolute failure. Most tenants have never thought of the math of rent.
Right.
You have 4 weeks on average to get together the funds for the rent. If you delay it, that means this month you had 5 weeks. If you paid a week late, totally makes sense. You had a whole nother week to get the money together. But what does that do for next month? It takes the 4 weeks down to 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you only have 3 weeks to get your rent together, do you think you can do it? That has so far every time shown the tenants, maybe I'll find some other way to solve my money problems than losing where I live.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And see, Dion, you said you are good at math. You crushed that math segment. Well done.
5, 3.
We'll take the little wins. But so basically my story, and this is the point where I get to, get my lashings from Dion and from Mike, because I know this. I shouldn't have done it. I was stupid. I'm a moron. You're smart.
This is rare.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like,
keep this up, viewers. He doesn't talk like this.
Well, because I don't make mistakes. Like, this is how it happens. Michael Jordan missed a few shots too. But this is my nightmare, and so we get it back this morning. And, so 2 weeks ago, it was, I need your Venmo account. Okay, here you go. Then 2 days after that, it was, I'm having trouble with my Venmo. It's like, okay, how about PayPal? Okay, I'll come pick up a check. Okay, I'll come pick up a money order. Okay, I'll pick up cash and I'll give you a receipt. Like whatever, like we were willing to do it. And then it was crickets and crickets and crickets. And I'm just like, finally, then we were just like, okay, this isn't going to work. But then, and here's where the stupid reaches a whole new level. I did it again. I did it again.
Experience is that thing that lets you recognize your mistakes when you're doing it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So no joke. I get this message and it's a single mom, 3 kids. And she sent it to me, goes, I'm getting my tax refund in 3 days. I'm like, oh, and I'm like trying not to, because when I file at the court, it's going to cost me $116 or whatever to file, so I'm just like, like I'll let it fly like 3. Okay. We'll let it fly 3 days, let it fly 3 days, reach out to her on the 4th day. And I said, hey, is it all set? She goes, still haven't got my refund yet, but literally it's, I got, here's, I should be getting it any day. Okay. Well, that is last Friday. And so then Monday came and it was, I still don't have it yet. And I said, send me a screenshot of what the IRS is showing you, because if you have rapid file or if you're doing it through like some third-party service and you're getting paid up front, she goes, yes, I'll reach out to them and I'll try and get that. I said, okay, sounds great. I said, because she was filing it through a third-party service company, but you still should be able to see that in the IRS website, irs.gov, and refund status. Check it out. And yeah, you're welcome, IRS. I actually know how all that stuff works. And so I want to share that with all of you. But again, she comes back and she goes, oh, great news. I'm like, love it. She got a refund. She goes, I got my refund. I was like, awesome. Let me know when I can come pick up a check. She goes, sounds good. And I said, so the balance is X and the balance is $5,000. She writes back and she goes, okay, cool. I'll give you a check for 1,000. Okay.
Wait a minute.
The other 4, I'm not dismissing the other 4. We're not that close. And so I literally wrote it back. I said, well, what about the other 4? She goes, I've got some other bills I've got to pay too. Oh, okay. All right. So that $6,000 apparently has been promised to $15,000 worth of bills. Yeah. So to Dion's point, yeah, here's the crazy thing. We gave her notices and we did it fast and we did it up front, like the first phase of the eviction. We posted. The issue is that after you post, they have 10 days to remedy. She didn't remedy. Then you file the next set of papers with the court. So she can then either request a hearing or she can basically go into the process of, you getting a writ of possession. Most people will delay that process just so they can get extra time. What they don't realize is the clock's still ticking on rent. You're still going to have to pay that. And then you're going to pay it with penalties and fees. But anyway, so we literally just today, this is why this is fresh on the mind. Today, we literally just filled out the rest of the paperwork. I'm like, fine, it's $116 or whatever. We're paying for it. We're posting it. I'm not playing games with her. We're done. So to Mike's point and to Dion's point, it sucks being a landlord sometimes. I don't want to evict her. I know that she's a mom of 3 kids, but she found a way to get assistance for 16 months to the tune of $2,500 a month, while all of us dummies show up for work. Dion used to anyway. Right. But while all of us, wage slaves show up for work, and she got 16 months at $2,500 for free and couldn't pay the first month that she got out of the ERAP program. Not even the first month. So here's what I would tell you. Dion's 100% correct in post early, post often. Mike is 100% correct that you never, ever, ever delay. And the worst thing is that the human nature side of us, we're not corporations. We do want to work with people. But to Dion's point, we only set them up for failure. And we're then out the money and they're going to have to pay that much more. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, that's the thing as a landlord that I struggle with the most, because my mom was a single mom. She had 2 kids. And so I get it. But you know what the first bill was that we paid every single month? It was whatever was due for housing.
Right.
That's what we paid the first month every single time. And that meant some months we didn't eat too well or much. I know it's hard to tell now, but life has changed for me a little bit. That being said, that's kind of where we are. Dion, thoughts on that?
Well, the last thing to wrap up from me is how times change. So if you've been living by an adage that somebody said that made sense 20 years ago, you need to adjust. Dave Ramsey used to say, if you don't have enough money to pay your bills, make your car payment, not your house payment, because you can drive to work, but you can't work from home. In 1990, that kind of made sense.
Sure.
But there's so many work from home jobs now. If you have to choose something, it would be the house. And you might have to change jobs to something where you work from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good tip. Mike?
I had one more thought, and I guess a mistake that you could potentially make. So just because we're starting an eviction process, just because we're being firm and holding them to a standard, does not mean that we don't help them and work with them.
Of course.
Starting that eviction process is what lights a fire under them to take some action. My property manager and I helped multiple tenants get set up with COVID assistance because for whatever reason, even though they qualify by every metric possible, your job was impacted because of COVID. You were sent home. You were working at the Ford factory. You even got COVID. You qualify easily. You just have to fill out the paperwork. But sometimes there's a reason why renters are renters, and they won't just take the steps necessary. So we literally have to hold their hand and help them fill it out and help them file it. But because we did that and they qualified for it, we got months worth of back rent, months worth of forward rent. So an eviction does not necessarily mean you're not willing to help people and work with them, but you have to start the process, to Dion's point, because at least it'll get them into your office. You can get the thing signed, get it filed, get them taken care of. And to Matt's point, unfortunately, once they've learned how to live on government assistance, Matt's got a worse record than me, but it seems like nobody can go from being on government assistance back to providing for themselves, which again is an overall social issue or philosophical belief. That's why I'm very much against things like government assistance, because teaching a man to fish is so much more important than giving him a fish. And my last thought was, I really liked the humble Jack Landlord. I really liked that, beating up on yourself. That was a new Matt. Listen,
man, I'll tell you when I make a mistake. Last one I made was in 2021. So savor the flavor. But that was it. It was just, it was brutal. Obviously make mistakes all the time, but this one was, I have no issue when something doesn't go as planned. I have every issue when I knew what I should have been doing and I actually was stupid. And I thought that I could help change a process, because at the end of the day, my last text to her was, I'm not going to work harder to keep you in the apartment than you are. Period. End of story. So sadly, that means that she is going to get evicted. And at the end of the day, she earned it. She's done absolutely nothing. And in fact, she'll literally tell other people, I'm not paying to stay here. I'm just waiting for it to send to me an email, because that's really where I want it. But we all know that's not going to happen. So as I always tell you, we create great content for you guys. We love for you to actually hit that like button, also subscribe, but make sure to check out Millennial Mike's channel, where there's absolutely phenomenal shorts and then even better follow-up videos, along with Dion's new trend of phenomenal educational shorts that, quite frankly, you guys should be watching. And he does his phenomenal live stream, 7 p.m. Tuesdays, Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific. And he insists on reaching out to Mike and myself at least 3 times a week, asking if we've got some time where we can do a live stream with him, because we like hanging out with each other. So guys, thanks so much for coming and participating. And guys, we will see you in the next one.
Ciao.